Yo, 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 welcome back to this league. My name's JD. What is up, guys? Guys and girls, if you find this on YouTube. How we doing? Welcome back to this league. Number one sports basketball podcast, soon to be. It has been a fucking crazy time in the association. Trade deadline, All-Star weekend coming up. All 30 teams are playing in the association tonight. 15 games. It's a beautiful day to be a fan of the association. We're going to talk about this Luka trade. Broke last week, but kind of the aftermath of it. It's been crazy. Go over some of those other trades, some of these bum-ass teams making trades, and, everything else. And, I guess this Luka trade, let's just talk about that. We've had some time to breathe. Last week, I wasn't able to get any solo time to record. But floored was the initial reaction. That has since died down. It is settled in. We've settled in. Luka is a Laker. He made his debut the other night on Monday. Played decent. Scored as many points as Bronny has this season in a Laker uniform. So shout out Bronny. He has as many points as Luka as a Laker. I'm sure that will change tonight if Luka plays. But I was watching You're Cordially Invited on Prime, the Will Ferrell, Reese Witherspoon movie. I'd been out drinking all day, didn't go out that night, stayed home. I was like, let me support the boy Jimmy Tatro, watch that movie. And then, I had been boozing that day, right? And so I checked Twitter one last time, see the Luka trade. It broke 20 minutes before, like everyone else. Is this real? Da-da-da. Was just shaken out of my boots, and now it is settled in, and fucking the Lakers made out like bandits. They have a chance to be the Lakers again. Not that they ever weren't, but they were kind of in limbo with LeBron, age 40, AD, 31. What's the future looking like? And now that they've solved that, and Rob Pelinka, shout out to you. You fucking finally woke up and made a move. And really, was it him making the move, or was it just the Mavs fucking up? It was probably more the Mavs fucking up, but it is just nuts that the Lakers were approached. And there's these reports now that they approached the Timberwolves and the Bucks for Giannis or Anthony Edwards. I don't know if that's true or if that's the Mavs covering up, because they've been trying to cover themselves up ever since that night. When Shams has to say, yes, this is real, and you're the Mavericks organization just thinking, how do we make ourselves not look like idiots? They trashed Luka, called him fat, said they didn't want to give him $370 million. When you have the second best player in the league who is just bought in on Dallas, wanted to be a Maverick for life, had idols like Dirk Nowitzki, who showed face at the Lakers at his Lakers debut in support of Luka, you got to be some of the dumbest motherfuckers like ever, man. How don't you end up with Austin Reeves, Connect, AD, and that first, and Christie for Luka? That's what should have happened. Instead, they just get AD, Christie, and a first. Pelinka just swindled Nico. I don't know if they can even be friends anymore. We all know their relationship started when Pelinka was the GM not the GM, Kobe's agent. Nico was working with Nike. They met up for coffee. Nico approached him as a friend and was like, "Hey, man, you guys want Luka? We're trying to trade him." And Pelinka was like, "Yeah, what's wrong with him?" Nico, as a friend, opened up and said all of these concerns, most likely. And Pelinka said, all right, well, if all those concerns are valid and we're friends, I'm not giving you the full haul for him. And it's just a goddamn shit show. And as for the Lakers, they've been playing amazing. Do I have it written down, their last few wins? They have won the last, I don't know, they've won double digits every game since AD like got hurt again and sat out when he was still on the Lakers. I think that Wizards game was the first one that they played without him before the trade. They won that one by like 40. They beat the Knicks handily. They were winning that whole game. They beat the Clippers handily by 25. They beat the Warriors by 8. They beat the Pacers by 7. Then they beat the Jazz by like 20 Monday. They play the Jazz tonight. If you need a bet, Lakers minus 8.5 is a lock, I think. I'm not allowed to say lock, actually. Is my best bet of the day. They've been on a roll, and I don't think it's that crazy to say that the Lakers are now, somewhat of contenders. Their center spot is kind of iffy. Jackson Hayes, they just signed Alex Len. I think that was the move that Shams was hinting at when Shams the other day said they're going to sign a center within 24 to 48 hours. I believe Len was going to sign with the Grizzlies or someone and then backed out and then signed with the Lakers. Good move by him. I hope he can hold up. I expect them to be fine in the playoffs. Like, they don't have AD, okay? But their front court of Luka, who's 6'7", thumbs up. Braun, 6'8". Rui, 6'8". Dorian Finney-Smith, 6'7". Did I say Jared Vanderbilt? Jared Vanderbilt, who's like 6'8", 6'9". They've been running that lineup with Jackson Hayes on the bench, and they've looked fine. I mean, they beat Cat. They haven't faced any other like formidable big men. Now, if they get Jokic in a 7-game series, that's spooky, but I'm honestly not that worried about them being undersized, if you will, with all of those forwards. Like, I think that they have enough size, like, across the front court with, like, 3 6'8" guys, 4 6'8" guys. They could even play all 5 of those guys at the same time with Luka bringing the ball up and just play team defense and be fine. I think JJ Redick is a phenomenal coach. I think he is kind of also made out as a bandit. First year as a head coach, gets to coach LeBron, and then the team brings in Luka. And with JJ at the helm, the Lakers are, again, fine for the next however many years that they have Luka and JJ. Like, the Lakers are a destination that team players are going to want to come to this offseason. Do I think they're going to win the championship? See, that's the thing. I think there's more of a chance than people are actually like giving them to win it. Right now, they are 4th in the West. The Thunder are just a fucking like train. They are a steam train, whatever the fuck the phrase is. They are rolling motherfuckers, rolling teams. They're gonna get Chet back soon. Hartenstein they have, and then they just have like an array of young dudes who off the bench who will give you fucking 30. Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, these bench players who when they've had injuries have just stepped up and like dropped 30 or stepped in crunch time and just balled. Like, they are deep as hell. The Lakers might have trouble with them because they kind of play a similar style of smaller basketball. I know they have Hartenstein, but when you have Chet in, who's skinny, and I don't know, their wings kind of dominate. Jalen Williams, Shea. I think that that matchup would be good. But I'm not worried about the Lakers. I think the Lakers have a chance to make a run, like, if they can figure it all out, make it click. I don't think it's that crazy to say that they are a legitimate threat in the West. Shout out Luka. I mean, I, as a Suns fan, realized that, and I'm thinking this is the first time I've spoken. I'm like, in that initial reaction of seeing the trade, I realized that I don't even hate the Mavs. I just like kind of hate Luka, but I also respect Luka. I wanted the Suns to draft him first. I saw Luka play in Madrid the year before he was drafted at Real. He got ejected in the first quarter for 2 technicals, screaming at the refs. I was like, this guy's a superstar. He played like 7 minutes, had like 10 points, and just got ejected. I was like, okay, this guy's got some shit to him. But, I think it's good for the game that Luka is in the Laker purple and gold. And as a Suns fan, I'm ready to hate him. I'm ready for that playoff series when, shit gets intense and shit gets spicy, and I'm forced to hate him. But when I take a step back as an unbiased basketball fan, it's so sick that Luka is on the Lakers. Like, star power in LA. That's what the league needs. That's what the league wants. And we have it. And if you are a real hater, which I respect, like, you hate them and you don't whatever. But if you're like just simply a basketball fan, you gotta admit that this is cool as shit that Luka got traded to the goddamn Lakers. This Nico Harrison stuff is getting out of hand. The Mavs have completely botched it. Traded their star player away. You thought that was just enough, but they have been ejecting fans who bring out Fire Nico signs. They ejected a fan who on the teleprompter during a timeout mouthed Fire Nico, ejected him. Their owner walked into the game the other night and got booed, and the owner was like, "Are they booing me?" "Yeah, dude, they're booing you." The SMU student section at their game last night was chanting Fire Nico at a goddamn college basketball game, a bunch of Dallas bros. Like, the verdict is in that the Mavs fucked up, and this was a heist, and it's just so lopsided. Adam Silver was on Pardon My Take this morning. I listened to like the first 20-30 minutes of it, but they asked him if he would ever veto a trade, and referencing the Luka trade, and Adam Silver was like, "We don't do that. We just make sure it falls into line with the CBA rules, and it's a legal trade, and then they push it through." I love Adam Silver. But man, if you're the Mavs, I get how they think having AD helps them this year, because in the one game that he did play, he went off and they did really well, and having him at the 4, which is what he was saying to Shams in an interview right before he got traded. He thinks he's more natural at the 4. Playing him at the 4 alongside Gafford and Lively, that's a tough front court. If the Mavs played the Lakers in the playoffs, I would fucking bust a nut. I would love that. Just for all the tension, I think the Lakers would win, but the Mavs are formidable, and it is just an insane like series of events. If you have a guy who's dropping 35, 15, 10, dropping triple doubles, taking your team to the finals, you just don't trade him, and they did, and that's just an all-time fuck up. Like, Markieff Morris says, "I don't know what being in shape is. If you're talking about him," he said, "I hear stuff about him not being in shape, but if you go in an NBA game and get 30, 15, and 10, then I don't know what shape is." Like, and that's just the bottom line. I mean, it is awful. It's awful. Luka just bought that $12 million house in Dallas. And yeah, it's just crazy. But again, kind of touched on it earlier. The worst part about these trades is that it is like absolutely blindingly like obvious who's the bad franchise and who is the good one. The Mavs not getting back Reeves or Connect. That's just, you guys are a bad franchise. Sacramento in their trade with Fox, them not getting back Stephon Castle or Devin Vassell. Like, you guys are just a bad franchise. What did they end up getting back? They got Levine, 3 firsts, 3 seconds. I guess that's okay, but I don't know how you don't go get Stephon Castle. Like, Castle in 2 firsts, 2 seconds, or Castle in like a first and 3 seconds. Like, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with these teams. I really don't. The Wizards trading Kuzma. Now, Kuzma's not like De'Aaron Fox or Luka, obviously, but getting back Chris Middleton and AJ Johnson, like what? And then they traded Valanciunas for Sissoko in 2 seconds. I think they used Sissoko. They got him from the Spurs and then sent him to the Wizards. But it's just like the Wizards, the Kings, and now the Mavs. Like, man, there's a blinding difference between a good franchise and a bad one. And you see the returns from these bad franchises on these trades. It is literally like trading in fantasy football. Like, literally like trading in fantasy football. And if you play fantasy football, you know, or you should know, that you don't veto any trade. You don't veto any trade. Like, unless it is absolutely ridiculous, which this Luka trade kind of is, but like if you're trading Saquon for like fucking Zach Moss or something, like maybe you veto that, but you don't veto trades. You don't veto trades because anything could happen. And I love that the NBA didn't veto it. And my God, I mean, it is just so fucking sick. The NBA is the best league. Everyone has been shitting on it because they're comparing the ratings to the NFL. Newsflash, if you didn't know, NFL is king. Football is king. I'm a basketball lover. Love the NBA, love college basketball, love the sport. And I know that the NFL is king. So it's like, we gotta just relax with this whole NBA like criticism. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with everyone. It's kind of like just a trend right now. Yeah, the refs suck, and you can say what you want about people shooting too many threes. Go on a basketball court yourself. What would you rather shoot, a 3-pointer or a 2-pointer? Everyone's shooting threes. Adam Silver also made this point in the 90s. People were complaining about the game because it was too physical, too slow, too boring, and that was the main concern from everyone. It's like too much banging inside, too much this, too much that. And now the players are so skilled shooting threes, everyone's like too much this, too much that. I think it's a classic case of people just not being content with things and how they are and looking for the negatives, but the league is fucking fine. And the league's fine. Also, like what I was saying earlier about the veto, like what if Nico is right? Like, he was right about the Kyrie trade in their first season together. When Kyrie was traded, you're kind of like, like that's cool, Luka and Kyrie backcourt, but will it work? They went to the finals. So if Nico is right about this one, and AD eventually gets healthy and the Mavs go on a run in the playoffs, and shit, if they win the championship, like, Nico would technically be right, but also like long term, that's just you just don't make that trade. Trade a guy who wants to be in Dallas and the second best player in the league, maybe first. I mean, him and Jokic are like 1-2 interchangeable, I would say. It's crazy. Another good point that I saw, Justin Jackson, if you remember him, North Carolina, small forward, played some time with the Mavs and bounced around the NBA. I don't know if he's still playing. He might be on like a G League squad or playing overseas or something. But he was saying like no one has talked about the fact that the GM and the ownership that brought in Luka were not there or are not there anymore. Like, and how much that plays a part. You see that all the time in the NFL. Like if a GM drafts a quarterback or a wide receiver, the GM's gone, the new regime wants to go a different direction. Those aren't the guys that brought in Luka, so he doesn't mean as much to them as the previous regime. You saw that story, Mark Cuban trying at the last minute to stop Nico and the new owner from doing that, but the new ownership and the new GM decided to do it because Luka technically wasn't their guy. Now, whether Luka's your guy or not, you just simply don't trade him. But that is an element of this that Justin Jackson is right. People have not been talking about, and as idiotic as it seems, it's just a fact. Nico didn't draft Luka, and so him trading him is crazy, but isn't as crazy as we all initially reacted. Another point that I think is interesting is that these owners, that trade took the Mavs under the first apron, I think, second apron or first apron. These owners want to save money, and by trading a star for another star, that extension goes down. So Luka was eligible for the 5-year, $370 million deal with the Mavericks because that's the team that had drafted him. And now that he has been traded, he's a traded player. His max contract, the max that his contract could be, is $229 million over 5 years. And so, owner to owner, if you are an owner trying to stay under the apron, and just swapping out stars and just being cool with not taking in a different star and not having to pay that star as much, and knowing that you're still going to win games and still do that, that is the business side of it that some owners are, shitheads, and they're basically saying we don't want to pay this guy, we're fine trading him, we're still going to be good, we're still going to make money, but we don't have to pay as much tax or whatever. And that's kind of sad. I don't think all owners will be that shallow and go to that level, but a Steve Ballmer or a Matt Ishbia, there's some owners, certainly owners in the league, who are just fuck it, we're gonna spend money and we're gonna go get whoever the fuck we want. And then there's other owners who I think are now realizing that money, or not realizing, but incorporating that money saving part of it in the construction and the makeup of their team. So it's just shitty. Let's see, what else do I have? De'Aaron Fox to the Spurs, Zach LaVine to the Kings. The Kings are just the Bulls 2.0 now. They just have DeMar, LaVine, and Sabonis. The Bulls is a little upgrade over Vooch, but they're non-factor. They are currently number 9 in the West, with the idea that Malik Monk is going to be their main facilitator. I love Malik Monk in his game, but Malik Monk is a scorer. He's more of a bucket than he is a point guard, so I don't know how that'll work out long term. I also saw that Malik Monk was kind of pissed at De'Aaron Fox because he signed an extension or a new contract in Sacramento this offseason, anticipating being there with his college buddy, good friend, and then De'Aaron Fox requested that trade. I think their relationship is kind of so-so right now. That sucks for Malik Monk. Get Malik Monk to the Heat or something. I want to see, at some point, I wanted to see Fox, Monk, and Bam play again, just like they did at Kentucky, but that's just fantasy, fanfare or whatever. Kuzma to the Bucks, I don't think does anything for them. I like Kuzma, but the other team in the West that actually I kind of fuck with was the Warriors getting Jimmy Butler, sending out Wiggins, Schroeder, and Anderson. Schroeder and Anderson didn't end up on the Heat, ended up on the Jazz. Schroeder to the Jazz, Anderson to the Raptors. I think Schroeder actually got redirected to the Pistons. But, the Warriors with Steph, Jimmy, and Draymond, and having Jimmy be the number 2 guy, and just his game style being that much different from Steph's, I think they complement each other. I think they're going to be a really good team coming down the stretch here after the All-Star break. Brandon Ingram went to the Raptors, signed a 3-year extension, kind of a mutual sort of thing. And also, I think because Ingram got traded, the money isn't as much as he could have gotten as a free agent or whatever. So that's another example of an owner's move that saves money. But the trade that got rescinded, the Mark Williams trade, that was kind of crazy. Apparently his foot is fucked. He's been out with a back injury. Connect and Cam Reddish got sent. They had to go back. Connect is like back in LA, and they just tried to trade him. Awkward. They dropped Cam Reddish, picked up Alex Len, but you really never see that. They always make a point to say how they got to do physicals first, and then the trade goes through, and you always just assume that that's going to be that they're going to pass the physical and everything's going to be fine. But in that case, it wasn't. And I don't know what the fuck's wrong with the Hornets, thinking that they could do that unless like Mark Williams is like actually broken, and that actually appears to be the case. But yeah, that sucks. Yusuf Nurkic, Suns got rid of him. Had to eat one of the first rounders we got from the Jazz, a 2026 one for Cody Martin and Michik, who are on expiring contracts. I think the idea is that the Suns will have more wiggle room this offseason, replacing that Nurkic's money with Cody Martin and Michic's money. I think Michic is already trying to go play in the Euro League. But moving off of Nurkic is a good thing. It had become toxic. He did that interview where he said he hadn't talked to Bud in months. Weird vibes. The Suns center position is another one that's like whatever. The Phoenix Suns are I've accepted that we started at 8-1 last year and this year. I was all in on us making the finals or going somewhere, being legit. We got the 6th seed last year, but got swept by the Timberwolves. And now the state of the team is just that I am basically back to like 2016, 17, 18, 19, 2020 type fandom where we're not contenders. We're not going to win a lot of big games. If Book drops 40, that's a dub. If we win, that's a dub, obviously. But the expectations have now been lowered, and we are looking dead set on a rebuild. I don't like the narrative around our locker room or around Kevin Durant. I think Kevin Durant, and also, let me say this. I was the number one fucking guy on getting Beal's ass out of town. I wanted Beal gone. Wanted him gone. Please, like, begging him to waive his no-trade clause and getting him out of here. But he has the no-trade clause. He's one of 11 players with it. The likes of, like, Stockton, David Robinson, Dirk, Braun, Melo, Wade, and Bradley fucking Beal. He's not the same caliber as those guys, but the Wizards gave him a no-trade clause, so we couldn't trade him or move him. And I hope this summer he waives it and we can find a place for him, because with him, he didn't even play last night. How many games has this fucker played even? Like, he is the move that we regret. KD is getting a lot of hate because we had to send so many assets to get him, but Beal is the one that really just breaks me. I just can't even fucking fathom, like, it sucks. It sucks being stuck with him. I like him. I liked him when he was, before he was on the Suns. Good player, but the players having power has been a topic of discussion for years, forever, and the fact that the player has the power, we can't be mad about it. Like, players are always feeling shitty because of the business of the league and getting swapped here and there and getting traded left and right. And Beal was able to prevent himself from being in that position, so you got to respect it. But at the same time, we could not move him, and it now has affected our season like no other. We could have had Jimmy, and we don't. And Beal's played 37 games out of 40, 53. So he's missed 16 games. He's actually played more than I thought, but even then, he's hurt all the time, and we're just stuck. But back to KD. He passed 30K points last night, 8th all time, behind like Wilt Chamberlain, Braun, Kobe, bunch of legends, and his name belongs up there with them. I'm very happy that he did it as a Sun, because he's one of my favorite players, and he's one of my dudes. And the fact that I've been able to watch him in a Suns uni the last couple of years has been super beautiful. But I wanted to talk about this other report that the Suns locker room is toxic. He had avoided the media for a few days after his name was talked about or was thrown around in the trade talks, and he finally did a media appearance the other day, and the quote goes like this. This is Kevin Durant. He said, "Yeah, I heard Ramona Shelburne come out and say our locker room is toxic. I try to tell people who aren't around this game much is that it's easy to say our locker room is not connected when you come in there 45 minutes before the game and guys are in their game mode, not talking to each other. A few guys in the training room, a few guys in the weight room. It's not a welcoming environment right before the game. That's part of getting ready to play. I think it's unfair and lazy to categorize our team as toxic when you come in here for 5 minutes throughout 4 months. That's the only time you've been in our locker room, and then you make a narrative. I don't think that's fair to us. But like I said, that's part of the game, part of the business we signed up for. Shit is not fair in this game, but we got to deal with it and accept it." Throw in KD. KD's name being thrown under the bus recently is such fucking bullshit. He didn't ask to be traded. He can't control teams like trying to vulture in and collect him when they see that we are trying to make a big splash. And this is also part of an outcome of Bradley Beal. Like, we had to move $50 million to get Jimmy, and if we couldn't move Bradley Beal, it was going to be Kevin Durant, and all these teams calling about him, and just ESPN and all these reporters running with it and making it seem like, just fucking trashing his name and trashing his tenure here. I think is just so fucking dumb and so idiotic. KD has been nothing but a pro since he's been here. He's been great. When him and Booker are on the floor together, we win a lot of games, and the fact that Bradley Beal has a fucking no trade clause and KD is the one, getting shit for it is horseshit. Horseshit. I think Bradley Beal having that no trade clause should be talked about way more than KD's name being thrown around and our locker room being toxic and this, that, and the other thing. It's just unfair. It's fucking horseshit. It's horseshit is what it is. KD is a great, and he doesn't get respected like it. I will never understand why, and I don't know how, but I do know how. But it's just, I think it's fucking awful. It's awful, and I have been trying to get rid of Bradley Beal this whole year, basically since the Jimmy Butler thing started, which I guess isn't the whole year, last couple months, whatever the timeline is. But let me just say this as a Suns fan, and let me just speak to Suns fans only. So if you're not a Suns fan, don't listen, or listen but don't judge. Suns fans, the trade deadline is over. We have Beal. This is our roster. Be a fucking fan. Don't be one of these assholes talking shit about. You can be critical and you can judge coach for certain rotations. You can judge players for not playing, etc. But this is our team, so from here on out, we got to support our guys. I was at the front of the fucking lines begging Bradley Beal to waive his no trade clause. From now till the end of the season, Beal is a part of our team, so I'm going to root for him. We all need to root for our guys and be real fans of the team. Did the deadline go how we wanted it to? No. Did that cause some fucking turbulent fucking circumstances as a fans and and within our organization? Yes. But that is all done. We need to be fucking fans and just root for it and root for these guys to figure it out and make it work. You never know. You never fucking know. The Lakers trading AD, getting Luka, this is a move for a future. I think they're going to have a chance in the playoffs this year. Who's to say the Suns won't? The Mavs will have a chance this year. The Suns not being able to make the moves that we thought we could make should not mean that for the rest of the season we are just poopy pants, like shitty mood fans. We have to be all in and be real fans, and that's just that. I don't like that this is carrying over a little bit. We all just got to put that in the past, water under the bridge, brush it under the rug, and say from here on out we are rooting for our fucking guys. So that's that, and I don't want to hear anything else. I don't want to see anything else. I've already started to mute some Suns accounts who are like still fucking complaining about it and still talking like about like this perpetual doom and whatnot. It's like, yes. Is the outlook as bright as it was day one of the season? Absolutely not. Does that mean that we can just continue on this like path of fire and flames and just not support our guys? No, we got to support our dudes. And so that's what we got to do. That's what we got to do. That's what we're going to do. Let's see. Other news. Ben Simmons signed with the Clippers. Kind of a perfect place for him. From the Brooklyn Nets to the Clippers, New York's second favorite child, LA's second favorite child. Ben Simmons is an afterthought now. Don't got to worry about him. Let him be. I was, and I think a lot of fans were hoping that he was just going to get over the hump and return to the height of play he was once at. That's not happening. He is just a buyout guy who the Clippers are bringing in because they think he can help with bench minutes, and that sucks. I was in support of Ben Simmons. Mental health is a crazy thing. I think, the way that he handled it was how he handled it, and he was going through some shit, and I thought it was unfair that people were just shitting all over him for it. The human aspect of it gets lost when fandom comes in. It's like that real hatred that comes into fandom. It's like there's a balance between love and hate in life, and especially in fandom. And so, he got a lot of hate, and now just let him be. Just let him go out to pasture in fucking Inglewood, the Intuit Dome, and just let him be. Lastly, I want to shout out Kevin Love. Been on a heater. All those videos he was posting during the Jimmy debacle were funny. But the other night, Luka's debut, LeBron, in a video, like speaking to the team right before tip-off, was like giving a pump-up speech. He was like, Luka, fit the fuck out. Don't worry about fitting in. Just fit the fuck out. And Kevin Love brought up like tweets that LeBron sent about him trying to fit out and not fitting in, and just kind of roasted him a little bit. I think Kevin Love has the potential to be like a very good media personality when he retires. He has one more year after this on his contract, but when that's done, I think he's a voice that'll be a good listen, and that'll be fun to listen to. But yeah, let me see. Is there anything else going on that I wanted to talk about? The All-Star game I am excited for. Everyone's saying that the draft was rigged. I watched it live. I don't think they're disingenuous enough to rig the teams that way. I think that is genuinely all of their strategies were. Shaq's was like, I'm going to just pick LeBron and Steph and KD, and that's a valid strategy. Chuck's was he's going to pick all the internationals, which is, I think, something that Chuck would do. And then Kenny Smith was like, I'm going to pick all the young dudes. That's what they could do. It does seem staged, but I genuinely don't think it was. So Chuck's team is going to be Shea, Jokic, Mitchell, who was one of his last picks. He's an American. But before he picked Mitchell, he picked Şengün, Siakam, Towns, who technically is Dominican, Wemby, and then he picked Giannis early too. But Giannis is being replaced with Trae Young, which I think is good because his team was big heavy. All these international guys were big men. His only guards were Shea and Donovan Mitchell. So having Trae Young there, they're playing games to 50. I think that will be that'll be good for his team. So shout out Charles Barkley. You got lucky there. I think you miss Giannis, but having Trae, Shea, and Donovan being able to be the guards in an all-star format is a good setup. Kenny's team didn't have any injury replacements, so this is the team he drafted: Brunson, Cade, Anthony Edwards, Darius Garland, Hero, Jaren Jackson, Evan Mobley, and Jalen Williams. Love that team. They might give the international guys problems. I'd say that they'll win. They play Chuck's team. I'd say they win. Shaq's team was Steph, KD, Braun, James Harden, Damian Lillard, and then he ended up with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, which I think is good because they're teammates in this all-star format. And Kyrie replaced AD. They are lacking of bigs, so that's scary. But when you have Steph, KD, and Braun, you can win anything. And then they play the winner of the Rising Stars Challenge. And I was actually just looking at those rosters. Let me see if I can pull that up really quick. One of the teams is Stephon Castle, Ryan Dunn, Zach Edey, Keontae George, Trace Jackson Davis, Connect, and Jalen Wells. The other team is Toumani Camara, Bub Carrington, Bilal Coulibaly, Scoot, Vez Mizzi, and then the Thompson twins. The Thompson twins being on the same team is sick. The third team is Anthony Black, Tristan Da Silva, Grady Dick, Jaime, Risache, Sarr, and Cason Wallace. That's my least favorite team, I would say. And then the last team is the G League team, I believe. J.D. Davidson, Mac McClung, Bryce McGowan, Leonard Miller, Dink Pate, Reed Shepard, and Pat Spencer. The lacrosse player from the Warriors who had that back cut bang out the other night. So sick. Kid's an athlete. He's a bench player, non-factor in the playoffs, but good athlete, cool dude, I would say. If I had to guess, I'd say that the team with Castle, Dunn, Edey, George, Jackson Davis, Dalton Connect, and Jalen Wells will win. And I like how the Rising Stars team is facing off against the OG team. I think if the OGs actually hoop, they should win that game, and then they'll end up playing either the Europeans or the young guys. And I think this is gonna work. I didn't like the draft, although we got some good games out of the draft games when they just went away with East-West and went with the draft. I was like, bring back East-West, bring back East-West, but the All-Star game is, the gamified version of a game, and having these split teams will be interesting, and I think the way that these teams are formatted will make it competitive. I think it's going to actually be a hit. So I'm excited for that. Yeah. Anywho, let's see. Let's see. Anything else happened? The Eagles won the Super Bowl. That was sick. They dumpstered the Chiefs. Happy for Philly. My dad grew up in Philly. I was a big fan of McNabb, Westbrook, Brian Dawkins, those dudes. Jeremiah Trotter's son being on the roster and winning the Super Bowl is sick. I remember the dad when I was a little kid vaguely, but I'm happy for the Eagles. I think the Chiefs will be fine. Mahomes is still the best quarterback in the league. Everyone's been kind of having super insanely sharp, harsh takes on them, and which I think is kind of ridiculous. But the Chiefs will be fine. Eagles are them. I mean, I want an Eagles type rebuild for the Suns. Let me pull it up. There was they turned Carson Wentz into Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Jalen Carter, and Cooper DeJean, using like draft picks and trading. And if we can somehow get rid of Beal, and if we have to sacrifice KD, trade away KD, and have a sort of like 2021, 2022, 2020 to 2022, like Suns type of rebuild with Book around dudes closer to his age, and really just make a team, I think that is ideal. The Suns need an Eagles type of rebuild. We really do. Yeah, it's going to have to come at the expense of KD, that's going to make me sad, but it's just what's got to happen. I think the Suns are fine. I think the Suns will have to fire James Jones and bring in a new GM. When Ishbia became the owner, we kept James Jones. Ishbia was kind of the main dude, I think, who traded for KD and traded for Bradley Beal that followed like that summer, and just completely reshaped the team. And it was an experiment, and it didn't work. And I think Suns fans are very doom and gloom right now, saying that we're just going to be dog shit for the foreseeable future. But if we bring in the right GM and build properly around Book, get some nice draft picks, get some cool guys in here, some just cool fucking, not cool, but like, you know what I mean, just a cool team, just a badass team. I think that's definitely in the cards. But yeah. This has been This League. Thank you for watching, listening, whatever you're doing. And I appreciate you. And go Suns. And go Birds.